Our relationship after that conversation is strange, to say the least. While it felt meaningful at the time, I realized later that we didn't really get anywhere except once again admitting the feelings we'd already been having the past few weeks. Amicus is extra careful about touching me now, probably because he doesn't want me to misconstrue it for something more than it is. At the same time, our conversations have become less casual and joking and more stiff and awkward.
Oh man.
I hate it.
I feel like this is very relatable. It's like high school dating.
Things go like slightly too far, and now it's like that recontextualizes everything,
well,
and now you're thinking too much about every single interaction.
Like when you're fantasizing about dating someone, you're like fantasizing about like you finally admitting to each other that you love each other, and then you start fantasizing about the actual relationship, but you don't fantasize about the transitioning from the realization that you guys don't fucking know that much about each other to getting there. It's like, I can picture us married and holding hands and doing this, but you don't picture like
the part where you almost admit you love each other, then just kind of stop right there and then just kind of hang out for a few weeks or years.
It's kind of like, wow, there's a lot of work to do, because it's like, you know, it's like, what is this person's favorite color? I don't even know if they're allergic to any foods. There's so much I don't know about them. You basically start from ground zero, and that realization's kind of startling.
The moment of shock where attraction opens up to the complexity of what a human is.
Yeah. The thought of like having to start over, like thinking about dating is like scary, because it's like, man.
The horror that is people.
It's a lot of work.
In any other situation, I want to just sit down and talk my feelings out with the person, but Amicus is different. First of all, he's an alien, and having the feelings that I do for an alien, a wolf alien at that, is weird. Secondly, this relationship, this closeness, it's just not important in the grand scheme of things. We're currently doing something so illegal that if we were to be found out, it would bring the entire empire to a standstill, at least more than it already is. So instead of playing out one of the cheesy woven romance dramas that I've seen on Adastra television, maybe instead I should be focusing on how the hell I'm going to exist in this empire, especially if the second trial falls through.
I was going to say, how rich is...
My mouse is on the screen.
Ooh, I'm professional. Like, is Amicus going to be like...
I'm used to using game recording mode where you can't see the mouse, but it doesn't work on this game. Because when we started recording this game, it just showed the title screen forever. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, I'm just wondering, like, if Amicus loses all this, like, is it like, oh, well, you're booted out, no more funding for your life, like, you guys are basically living out on the streets? Like, would Amicus even know how to do that? We don't even know what life in the city is even like remotely.
The question of, like...
And he kind of, in a way, doesn't either, because he's never been, like, a poor person
Does he become
before.
A shittier person when he doesn't have it easy anymore?
Well, he's gonna have to face extreme adversity, and that's when you know, like, who somebody truly is. It's I don't know. He's gonna be like a pauper.
Mm-hmm.
Will we love him anyway? Let's see.
But Amicus wants a relationship with me. That much he's made clear. I just wonder if it truly would help him like he's saying it will. Or if he's just saying it so that I'll give him what he wants. I don't doubt that the wolf likes me. Even more than that. Even more. Maybe even more than that.
Ooh, there you go.
But we've only known each other for about a month. Do we really even know anything about each other?
That's what I'm saying.
Despite all this, and after a few days of thinking about it, I start to warm up to the idea. We both know it'll be short, an innocent fling like I thought of it earlier. I could be leaving for Earth any time in the next month, but I can't deny that I really like him too.
How often are you gonna be able to fuck a wolf man in real life?
An innocent fling. The more I say that in my head, the better it sounds. Despite everything, knowing that I could have a relationship with an alien, the son of an emperor actually, someone who will likely become the emperor, that's kind of cool.
A lot of clout.
Yeah, I'm doing this to to boost my Twitter following.
No one would believe you anyway.
Forgot to bring his phone. Besides, he did say it would help him with his confidence for the trial. And finally, I'm tired of this awkwardness between us. Amicus is my friend, and I want to be able to talk normally with him again. I'm pretty sure making things official will clear everything up. I just have to go about doing it the right way. The day before the trial, Amicus shoos me and Alex out into the gardens. It's strange, but he tells me that they need to be tended to, considering that the camera drones are going to sweep over the grounds for an opening shot before the second trial begins. It's the first time he's ever really asked me to do a task, and when I point that out to him, he says that he also needs time alone to practice his speech. That makes sense, but it's still a little odd. Alex and I stand in the gardens, picking at the weeds just like I had on the first day of the palace. It's hard to believe a month's gone by, even with the 19-hour days. I guess it's been about 3 weeks in Earth time. I get to work pulling up the small white flowers, the ones that seem to grow in every crevice of the garden. You think the drones would be smart enough to take care of the weeds themselves?
Well, they don't have appendages to pull with. All they could really do is use their high-powered lasers, but that risks starting fires.
The drones have lasers?
Oh, yes. They need some form of a defense mechanism. Why? Why?
Huh.
I mean, it's not like they'd ever use it on you. Even if they did, it's not enough to kill you. At least not quickly. Just leaves nasty burns.
At least not quickly. Horrifying to say. I find myself continuing to glance up at an Adastran spider sitting motionlessly on the wall of the palace. At least not, the suggestion there is that it's just a really horrible death, then.
Yeah, because it will happen eventually. It'll just take a long time of being burned.
Wish they'd use them on those hideous things. It takes Alex a moment to see what I'm looking at.
Oh, Marco, you know those are important for the...
Ecosystem. Yeah, I know. Doesn't make them any less disgusting. Imagine one of those things biting you.
Imagine taking it home and keeping it as a pet. Like Stephanie would do.
Feeding it cookies, petting it.
Naming it Fluffy.
Sleeping in the same bed as it.
Well, I don't know about that one.
Covered in spiders.
I mean, I don't want to roll over on any of them. Indeed. Though honestly, I've been vaccinated so many times after coming to Adastra that sharp pointy things don't scare me so much anymore.
Oh.
Okay.
We worked quietly for a few minutes, Alex lazily humming as I tried to think of a way to bring something up that I've wanted to talk about with the cat. So? I watch as Alex's paws work fast, plucking the weeds with speed and precision. What's your relationship with Cassius like?
I've been dying to ask you.
I see Alex's paws freeze for a moment, then quickly return to their work, the dirty pile of weeds next to him growing larger and larger on the marble floor.
Our relationship? You already know that, Marco. I'm his pet, just like you are Amicus's pet.
He smiles at me. At this point, I decide to stop letting the cat play his little game with me. I give him a look that says, "Oh, come on," and I see his ears fall a bit.
What?
You know exactly what. I think it's pretty obvious the two of you are, I don't know, something more. This is the first time I've called the cat out on its polite pet facade, and I see that it's thrown him off a bit. His ears are down, and he's staring hard at his paws, pushing through the weeds, though he's no longer plucking them.
That's such a forward question, Marco.
I wonder if his demeanor just has to do with his cat modesty, or if there are actual laws against pet-master relationships. Come on, we're friends. Besides, I want some advice. Now his ears perk up a little bit.
Oh, with what?
Well, first, I want to know if, something's going on between you and Cassius. Then I'll know if you can answer. Alex sighs huffily and sits back on his rear, looking a bit childish with his legs and feet splayed out in front of himself.
That sounds cute.
He's probably the feet are rocking back and forth in opposite directions. He's and knocking in the middle.
I said that he's messing with the weeds, like he's pushing them. I just imagine him doing that thing that cats do, where they make bread, where they knead at things. I don't know why it matters.
That's the face. Yeah, that one doesn't come up too often. That's doesn't it? Face.
It's more like, I don't know why it matters.
His little heart nose sticks out of his face, past the bridge of his nose.
I always think about that, where I thought it was like a shine on top of his nose when I first glanced at it, and then I noticed over time that his nose is just literally shaped like a heart.
Yeah.
I thought it was just he had a little bit of a shine on his nose. It's very cute, though.
Well, I don't know how things are done on Amorpha, but where I'm from, friends talk about their relationships with each other. It's actually strange not to tell your friend about who you're in a relationship with. Oh yeah, people have been sounding off, and he's extremely Greek, apparently.
Okay.
Apparently his design is extremely Greek, and his name is Greek. So we were read about, it's like being like, is that the relationship? Because like they're from the same galaxy as the wolves that created Rome, which like logically there's no reason why the two cultures on Earth and the two cultures in space would be close to each other both times. But I was like, that made me think that made me think like metaphorically that they could be Greek, but I didn't have anything to go on.
Well, I'm glad we're finally right about something.
Yeah. Though his ears are folded down, I can see how red they are.
We're not in an official relationship, but there are feelings between us, yes.
Really? Alex snaps his gaze to mine.
Why do you sound so surprised?
I'm not surprised, just fascinated. I'm not. You two are just really different.
One's a dog, one's a cat.
How could they live together?
Wacky antics ensue.
Ding, ding, bing, 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 bing.
How so?
I mean, do I have to explain it? Alex is quiet. Well, you're so reserved and quiet, and he's so... Now that I know that Alex actually likes Cassius, I don't want to be too offensive. Cassius. Alex sighs.
Yes. Cassius is very Cassius. There's a lot more to him than what he puts out in public.
So, you like him?
Parts of him, yes. Which parts? Alex. Oh yeah, Alexander. Oh my gosh, like fucking Alexander the Great.
No, it's like Alexios.
Yeah, but also Alexander the Great. I don't know.
What? No, I don't think he's both names.
Okay, I don't know. Maybe the root. I don't know. Okay, I'm gonna fucking stop talking.
We already know which one it's short for.
Well, I know, but like they're from the same place, right?
Sure.
Isn't Alexander? No, Alexander's Roman, huh?
Yeah. I think. I mean, it's like how like Max can be short for Maxwell or like Maximilian or something, and
Maximus.
It's not like both or anything.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Alex has lowered his voice to the point where I almost can't hear him, so I do the same. So are you in like a relationship? I don't know what they're called on Adastra. Alex bristles.
Well, it is simply called a relationship.
Almost like you have a translator in your head.
The only official status is marriage, but that's only between males and females.
What about between males?
There is none. Why are you so curious?
Alex looks at me carefully, eyes narrowed. I shrug. Just wondering. I like to learn about the culture I'm in.
I see. Are you interested in Amicus?
Now it's my turn to blush. No.
Marco, you can tell me. I thought we were friends.
Yeah, but you have a history of leaking information about me. I get the feeling that Alex is a lot better than me at these games. I don't know, honestly. But I guess I was wondering how I'd go about it if I decided to.
Aw, that's adorable.
All I can do in response is blush a deeper shade of red.
So you're asking how to tell a wolf that you're interested?
Yeah.
Well, between males, it usually happens naturally, without saying so. If you haven't noticed, there's a stigma against same-sex relationships on Adastra. Leaving the status of a relationship unsaid makes it less likely that you'll be found out.
I think for a moment.
So you just don't fucking talk about it, I guess?
Amicus seemed to want me to make the relationship official. I guess he's just going by my standards then. Aw. He probably wants me to ask him to date me, Earth style. What are you doing up here? What are you doing up here? You're not even
somebody's in trouble.
You're not even the dog that normally breaks out. Eva, what are you doing in here? What? The owners aren't home, so you just think you got the reign of the place? There's just a Shiba Inu.
We have a rogue dog.
A Shiba Inu just walked into the room.
Very nonchalant.
Which means that the gate's not open. That means the gate's not locked, and you didn't respect it enough to care about that boundary, and you just fucking opened it.
Kiki looks really upset because she's usually the only dog in here, and she's not super happy about
We have the door open because no one else is home, and it gets hot in here normally. Stop licking my carpet, you fucking weird. Anyway, there's more dogs here now. Alex goes back to plucking some of the weeds.
We'll have to cope.
Oh, no.
However, I feel that things are changing, though very slowly. Honestly, someone like Amicus becoming Emperor would be really something. Well, then quit sabotaging us, Alex.
I'm about to ask Alex how prominent the rumors are about Amicus when I suddenly hear footsteps. I look up, half expecting to see the wolf, but instead, the other wolf. Because everyone else is a wolf, pretty much. Kato simply stares at us, his paws behind his back as usual. A moment of silence goes by before Alex suddenly stumbles to his feet, paws clasped in front of himself before bowing low. I quickly follow suit, a few seconds behind the cat. As I bow, I notice how dirty my robe is at the knees. Alex remains bowed, so I do the same, listening as Kato's footsteps come closer. He stops a few feet away, and I can see his worn, blunt claws at the top of my vision. His feet, I assume? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Haps got back to me. They're all plantigrade, so they have, like, human-y feet.
Okay, good to know.
They don't have, like, the weird ankles.
Well, we didn't have to just think about this for the rest of our entire lives.
It's surprisingly hard to verify because they're all, like, they're all, like, knee-up, like, character art. I don't know if they have feet. I think it just stops at some point. He stands there for a very long time, not saying anything, forcing me and Alex to remain stooped. As my back starts to ache, I realize that he must be doing this on purpose. Are we in trouble for something? Finally, he speaks, and I almost jump. Alexios, Marrow, how are you this afternoon? Alex straightens up, and I do the same, stifling my groan of relief. If Alex is sore, he's not showing it at all as he fixes a smile on his face.
Alex is a professional, dude.
Literally.
Yeah, he's very,
because it's literally his job.
I'm impressed by his customer service skills.
Yeah. This character's diplomatic for some reason.
I wonder why. Wonderful, Your Imperial Majesty. I hope the same is for you.
I opened my mouth, trying to think of something to say, though Alex didn't leave me much room to do so. That doesn't seem to matter, though, as Kato starts speaking, reminding me that I'm still supposed to be a near-mute primitive. Sadly, no, Alexios. I was just in the city today, and I was hearing some unfortunate rumors amongst the officials. Another long pause.
Oh?
The corner of Kato's mouth twitches, and while I usually have a hard time knowing what the old wolf is thinking, I can tell that right now he's not happy. Indeed, rumors about Cassius and his intentions involving the triumvirates if he becomes emperor. It takes me a moment to know what they're talking about. Then I remember.
The triumvirates? I wonder why.
Alex puts on a very innocent, confused look, even though I know that he knows what this is about. I wonder as well, which is why I'm curious to know if either of you have heard the rumor, or possibly the source of the rumor. Immediately I feel sweat starting to break out on my forehead, and I'm glad that I'm already sweating from the heat.
I am sorry to say that I do not know, Your Imperial Majesty.
Another moment of silence goes by, and that's when I notice that Kato's waiting for me to answer. I choke on my words for a moment, adjusting my brain to dumb ape mode. What is triumvirates? Kato's mouth twitches again. Anyway, I'm on my way to Cassius's room to let him know the news. Please accompany me, Alexios.
Yes, Emperor.
Alex quickly hops to attention as Kato turns with a twirl of his robes, heading back up the path as Alex quickly follows. That little shit. The chain of custody of that information was from Cassius to Marrow to Alexios.
Mm-hmm.
And so once again, he's leaked something that we said.
God damn it. Alexios.
He's better at playing this game.
Yeah, I'm
led to stand there alone for a moment, watching the two of them disappear among the bushes. So, Someone had told some of the officials about Cassius's plans to eliminate the triumvirates. Despite Alex's innocent act, I assume it had to be him.
His angle is confusing. I'm like, what would benefit him the most, and why is he? Maybe he is trying to help us.
Like, why is he acting both in favor of and against Cassius?
I mean, he can have a thing for Cassius, but still not believe him to be a good emperor, which is very possible. I guess it's better than just confronting your lover and saying, "Hey, I don't think you'd be very great at this job." Just sabotage him in secret instead, so that way it's not your fault.
Yeah. The difference between throwing the ritual that he was actually participating in versus doing stuff behind his back.
Mm-hmm. I mean, either way, it'll come off like Alex is clean.
He's like, I can fix him. I just need to get him fired.
It's like he's like, oh, honey, you're so sweet, but you're not gonna be good at this job.
You're a little fascist.
He's like, I like parts of him. He's like, I like his dick, but like, he's not gonna be good as an emperor.
That's the joke I avoided when that was first said. Like, don't say it.
We all thought it, Keith. It's okay. You know your audience.
Either that or it was Virginia. I wonder if Kato's already suspicious about Alex, and if that's the case, if it could all come back to me. I hope not. The idea of playing politics amongst these passive-aggressive wolves is not at all appealing. I spent a few more hours weeding the gardens on my own, knowing that I won't be able to make much progress alone. After a while, I meander around the gardens a bit, wanting to go back inside, but not really wanting to bother Amicus while he studies. While I'm doing that, though, I think more and more about what Alex and I had been talking about. Should I just confess my feelings to Amicus and close the awkward gap between us? I know it's weighing on his mind. Maybe asking him out will give him the boost he needs to win. Maybe I'm just trying to convince myself, but I realize that it is something that I want to do. And if I'm going to do it, it's probably best to do it before the trial to set his mind at ease. Carefully, I pick a few flowers from the garden, not making the giant bouquet that Amicus had made for his own proposal, but enough to look nice, at least in my own opinion. As I walk to the wolf's room, I have enough time to second-guess myself. Maybe this isn't such a good idea. My heart is hammering in my chest as I approach the wolf's door, and I'm sure my face is bright red. I try to keep my breathing under control as I stand in front of the door. What should I say? Maybe just imitate what the wolf did back when he asked me out? Yeah, that'll be funny and cute, right? As I start to feel myself getting cold feet, I just reach up to the panel, pressing it, deciding to just throw myself into this.
Oh no! Oh no!
That's some heavy censoring.
That's like half the fucking screen.
What could be happening on the dark side of the moon? It could be anything.
Oh my god. My heart's broken. Oh no.
The scene that I come upon is probably the last one I would have ever expected. At first, I think the two of them are fighting.
No,
Mommy and Daddy are just wrestling. Nefero and Amicus obviously have some kind of tension going on between them, so seeing the jackal splayed out on the bed while Amicus growled and snarled above him, pinning him down, well, a fight is all that would come to mind. But after a few more seconds of staring open-mouthed at the scene in front of me, I slowly realize what's actually happening. While Amicus might be snarling, Nefero is letting out grunts and groans that are clearly full of pleasure. His face and body say it all, too, the jackal writhing and twisting under the wolf, pawing at him as he says words that don't translate through the lingua. If that isn't enough to tell me exactly what's going on, then the jackal's slick pink cock bouncing against his tightened abs is...
I wish I could fucking see it. I'm so bummed.
I could show you in like 10 minutes or something.
Sorry, guys, you're gonna have to look this up on your own. Like, Keith's reputation in the eyes of YouTube's at stake.
I mean, I second guess every step. Like, which part, other parts that I do have to censor or not when I'm just saying it. No one knows the rules.
Well, I was gonna say I don't know either, because I mean, you did just say slick pink cock, but you can't.
Which is. I mean, I'm just powering through from now, and editing me will have to make choices.
Wonder if there are children in your audience.
They shouldn't be.
They shouldn't. If you're a kid, get out right now, please.
I can't parent everyone for them. Like, they're supposed to have parents.
if you're a kid, then they are just fighting.
Yeah, they're just wrestling. We said it was an adult game at the beginning, I think.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure they would have figured out by now.
Yeah, it's that if they're still here, it's because their parents are bad.
if you're a child and you're here, then your parents are bad.
From the children, the generation raised on iPads and shit. Anyway,
like, oh, cute cartoon animals, right?
I guess the sounds they're making covered up the sound of the door opening because neither of them look up. Instead, they both continue to go at it while I stare in shock. Part of me doesn't want to make any sudden movements so as to not attract their attention, while the other part of me just stares in fascination, never having seen anything like this before.
Yeah, I'm sure not.
A few times Nefero tries to reach up and touch Amicus's face, and each time the wolf bats it away or pins the paw down. Amicus seems irritated almost, like he's more annoyed about the situation than anything else. Nefero is practically the opposite, somehow maintaining that trademark smirk of his while this is all going down.
I thought he was making an ooh face.
And then, of all the moments for me to walk in on their little session, they seem to reach their peak. Nefero lets out a series of short moans, a strange sound coming from someone as refined and reserved as he is. I can see the results as it splatters against his torso and muzzle, his hips jerking frantically as his face morphs into a look of strained pleasure. Meanwhile, Amicus's moan is long and deep as he thrusts harder into the jackal, freezing up before practically melting over the other canine. His expression is a lot more goofy, and despite myself, I find myself thinking that this is exactly how I'd imagined his orgasm face.
Because we've definitely imagined it before. Poor Marco.
I just sort of take this all in, still trying to understand what the hell is going on. I mean, I know what's going on, but I don't know why. There's a certain amount of horror that goes with my reaction, as if I'd just walked in on my parents doing it. They're just wrestling. I guess I'm at least glad that I'm seeing it at this angle, which means I can't see what's going on under Nefero's hips. I realize then that I need to get the hell out before they see me. As they both gasp in their sticky mess, I slowly start to back out, but that's when the door automatically closes behind me. Now that things are quiet, nothing covers up the sound. Nefero and Amicus look up at me as one. I stand there, feeling as if I'm in a dream, as they both stare at me.
Nefero's face is all... I get it. He's glazed like a donut.
It's like, oh, weird, why is his face gotta be censored in this scene?
It's a really dark room.
Wow. Are we wearing a mask? It's a jack-o'-lantern. I must look like an idiot, my robe dirty from the gardens, flowers dangling from my right hand, my mouth hanging open in a fascinated horror. Amicus looks most shocked of all, though, and I can see a million thoughts running through his head, clearly not having wanted me to see this. His reasons for sending me and Alex go... His reasons for sending me out, and I'm not fucking...
Were you distracted there, Keith?
I'm distracted by the fact... Well, the dog started barking.
Sure, that's what it is.
His reasons for sending me and Alex out to do menial yard work is very clear now. Nefero, for his part, isn't wearing his usual suave smirk. Instead, it's surprised, and maybe even a little guilty. Like, not even he wanted me to see this.
Well, no, he seems like he kind of cares about our feelings.
I opened my mouth. But then any will to smooth over the situation somehow, make a joke of it even, leaves me. With both of their eyes on me, I turn and almost run into the door, having to drop the flowers to the ground to press the panel. Somehow I feel even worse than I had when I'd left the throne room in disgrace after the dance. The door slides open, and the next thing I know, I'm jogging out into the hall. As I do, I hear Amicus struggling for words. Marco, wait! There's some rustling sounds, followed by a yelp from Neferu before the door slides shut, and the only sounds are of my echoing footsteps. I'm not sure where I'm going. I just know that I need to get as far as I can from that situation. What I just saw is only now sinking in, and so is the hurt. What the fuck? That fucking wolf tells me he's in love with me, or at least interested in me, and the next thing I know he's fucking that jackal? What the fuck? I guess I'm more angry than hurt. I must have looked like such an idiot standing there while one of them was getting railed. And to walk in on that moment... Neferu had so clearly been into it, and Amicus looked so mean and aggressive. The whole thing was just awful. Well, awful to walk in on unexpectedly. In another context. My vision blurs for a moment, but I refuse to let myself cry over something that wasn't even going to be serious. I was going to offer Amicus that stupid fling, and that was it. He wasn't obligated to have eyes for only me. In fact, I knew he was into Neferu. We'd already discussed it. So this is fine. This was expected. Actually, I wasn't even expecting anything. No, the reason I'm so embarrassed and feel like shit right now is because I walked in on 2 alien dogs butt-fucking. That was weird and messed up, and I just need to collect my thoughts for a moment. That's when I realized I don't really know where I am in the palace. Most of the hallways look the same, and this one is no exception, though I know I'm deeper in than I've been before. Marco! Amicus's footsteps pound against the floor behind me. I don't know how far away he is, considering the echoing halls can be deceptive, but I immediately take a right through a particularly large set of double doors.
Oh.
The room I walk into is full of smells. Good ones, like a garden.
This is definitely my favorite room so far.
It's very detailed.
Beautiful.
The air is cool and fresh, even as afternoon light pours in from an opening in the ceiling. All the while, there's a sound of a soft trickling of water from a small fountain in the center of the room. I stand there for a moment, eyes scanning for anyone else that might be here. When I don't see anyone, I move closer to the center of the room, looking around at the flowers and plants as I try to calm my hammering heart. I know Amicus is probably going to find me soon. All he has to do is ask calm. So I fold my arms, trying to look casual, realizing now that it would have just been better for me to hang out in the hall, maybe laugh when Amicus came out. I'd have made a joke and acted like it wasn't a big deal, but it's way too late for that now. Sure enough, the door slides open and Amicus stumbles in his underwear, his fur completely mussed up, chest heaving for breath. Marco, I need to talk about... He doubles over, paws on his knees as he gasps in his air. I cringe as I see my flowers clutched in one of his paws. But I still try to look casual, keep my arms folded. What? About what you just saw. Don't worry about it. I shrug before busying myself with brushing off my robes so they don't look so dirty. No. I want to explain what happened. You don't need to explain it. It's none of my business. Well, it is. It's definitely not. I snap at the wolf. Who you fuck is none of my business. That's all up to you. Don't let me tell you who you can and can't be with. Amicus frowns deeply at me. What? You heard me. I don't want to hear about it. I'm not here for this shit anyway. Here for what? For... I throw my hands up in frustration. What just happened? For sex, or love, or whatever the hell it is you guys do. Whatever it is you told me you wanted on the island. I point at the flowers in his paw. I'm just trying to get home. I feel my eyes threatening to water up again, and I stubbornly swallow that down real quick. No, that's not what that was. Please, let me explain. I shake my head. You guys have sex. It's not a big deal. I get it. Humans can be like that too. Amicus takes a step forward, but I take one back. I guess it's just a little fucked up that you confessed your feelings for me 2 days ago, and then suddenly you're just fucking another guy. This is all so ridiculous. Not only the situation I'm in, but the fact that I feel so hurt by the wolf, even though nothing was really happening between us except an alcohol-fueled kiss. Amicus takes another step forward, his paws up, staring wide-eyed at me. That's not what happened. If you'll just let me explain. Then what did I see? What you saw, it was more of a transaction than anything. What, of cum?
Oh my goodness. So, America uses the dollar, and, Europe uses the euro, and in Adastra, this is how you pay for stuff. Just with wolf cum. When you go to the bank to transfer money, and you're traveling, you gotta give them dollars, and they'll just give you like a jar of wolf cum, so that way you can buy things when you're visiting Adastra.
That's why Elden Ring's the first From Software game not to have the sticky white stuff item. It's all in Blythe. The frequency at which I say shit I regret immediately on this channel.
Isn't that what it's for?
Yeah. No, you just commit and then you upload. You're like, here you go, you fuckers.
Oh.
Amicus chokes in surprise. Well, yes, I guess, but I made a deal with the Chemian. What deal? Well, I'm sure you remember our problems with Cassius. About him wanting to murder me? Yes, that problem. What about it? Well, I did say it wasn't something you should worry about, but like I said, I'm taking all precautions. Yeah? Yes. So? The wolf pauses. What? I realize now that I should have consulted you on this, but it was my only immediate option. What option? Well, while Cassius might be willing to execute my pet, he wouldn't dare touch the pet of a Chemian.
Oh no!
What? Wolf rubs behind his neck with one paw and speaks very quickly. If I were to lose the second trial, I made it so that your ownership would transfer to Neferu. You'd become his pet.
But then he'll fuck us too!
I stare at the wolf.
He definitely would fuck us.
This would ensure that Cassius would not dare come after you. If he did, it might upset the very delicate relations we have with the Chemians. A moment of silence passes.
You sold me into sex slavery.
So
my only options are being dead or being a sex slave in a non-consensual furry relationship, perhaps. I mean, I don't think Marco likes Neferu in that way, but, I mean, I can see it being fun for a certain demographic. But in this situation, it would be sex slavery, because Marco's not into Neferu. You can't just give him away. Neferu would definitely take advantage of the pet situation, for sure.
I don't know, actually.
You don't think so?
Well, remember all of his opinions about slavery?
Okay, you're right about that part.
I don't know if Chemians have pets.
You're right about that. He would definitely try to fuck us, though, at the very least.
He might bring you flowers and try to fuck you.
Yes. But,
I mean,
He likes our fur, remember?
I don't know if the pet situation would be how he does it, though, because with all of his talk about slavery and free will and everything, I genuinely don't remember if Chemians have pets. So this would be like a woven culture legal thing, but not, I don't think that's how that works for him.
That's true.
So it's something that legally here has to be respected. So it's like escape path. It does suggest that we'd be ending up in Chemia.
Yeah, it does.
Which is even less close to home, presumably. So I'd become Neferu's pet? If I somehow lose the trial, yes. I stare at the wolf. Are you okay with that? A little late to ask that. Amicus. Again with him doing things without even telling me. No conversation, no warning, no consideration. After all this time, he still doesn't see me as an equal. Amicus sees my expression change and quickly jumps in again. It's the best alternative, mainly because the Chemians likely use their own stretch. Neferu would be able to get you home if he had to.
I think Neferu is a nice guy. He's just extremely horny. There are people like this.
So to pay him, he wanted sex and only seemed interested in that. Yes. Trust me, I took no emotional pleasure in it. I'm quiet. Don't worry, though. I made sure the contract we agreed ensures that you will not have to be involved in anything like that. In fact, you'd almost be treated like a pharaoh. Amicus grins proudly. Am I a good boy? Did I do the right thing by cheating on you? I stare at the wolf for a while, suddenly feeling numb. Are you feeling better?
Not at this exact second, no.
His voice takes on a serious tone as he reaches out and pushes a thumb pad across my cheek. The action is intimate, and I turn my head away. We stand awkwardly for a moment, then Amicus holds up the flowers. You dropped these. I shake my head. They were for you. Amicus winces. I thought so. Were you going to ask me? I feel my face getting hot. Yeah, but now... I'm suddenly enveloped in a very tight hug. Gods, that was the absolute worst moment for you to walk in. I'm sorry. I stand there, limp, just letting the wolf hug me. Finally, Amicus steps back, holding the slightly wilting flowers as he stares at them. I hope after that, you're still considering? I sigh and shake my head, to which Amicus's ears fall. I'm just a stupid primate to you, aren't I? What? I told you before, to just talk to me if you're planning something that involves me. Why couldn't you have at least given me a warning? Especially for something like this. You what? It was sudden, and I thought the idea might hurt you after what happened on the island. No shit. So you went behind my back? I know sometimes you don't, well, you don't even think, but you knew this would hurt. No. I've been so busy, not to mention negotiating the things is complicated. I'm just trying to do what's best for you. Without really thinking about me, or how I might feel about any of this. I'm always thinking about you, every damn hour of the day. And this is on top of the trials. Believe it or not, Marco, I'm stretched a bit thin. It would be helpful if you could work with me. Work with you how? Let you manipulate me into becoming your boyfriend, then watch you fuck another guy so I could become his slave instead? I've been pretending, but now it could actually become official. I can't stop the words from spilling out of my mouth, wanting to hurt the wolf just as much as he hurt me. The wolf stares at me. Then Amicus's hackles rise, but instead of instilling any sort of fear in me like it normally would, I feel satisfaction. Marco, I will not have you accusing me of such a thing. I was more honest with you on the island than I have been with anyone in years. But not about what just happened to Neferu. What, you think I owe you celibacy? We're not dating, and you refuse to do anything with me. It may come as a surprise to you, but even in times like these, I have needs. So you did want it. Amicus looks about ready to explode for a moment. He just stands there in silence, practically shaking. He opens his mouth, and instead of shouting, I expect, it's almost a whisper. I may not know how these things work on Earth, but you know how they work on Adastra. You said yourself that these matters are casual. What happened with the jackal means nothing to me. You mean so much to me, which is why I did it to keep you safe. I shake my head. While seeing what happened in the bedroom hurt, it's really only the tip of the iceberg what's wrong with all this. If you actually cared about me, you'd care about what I want. You keep telling me how smart I am, but here we are again with you doing stuff without any of my input because you think I'm too stupid to understand. No. You know, you wolves are all the same. We're all just stupid barbarians to you. You don't treat me as an equal. You look down on me. And why the fuck would I want to be with someone like that? That is not even... Just win your stupid trial and send me home. If you don't, just blast my stupid ape ass off into space. I don't want to be here anymore. I turn, heading for the door. Wait. Please. Whatever. Whatever he was going to say suddenly cuts off as I hear a loud thud. I don't look back to see what he kicked or punched. Instead, I head out into the hall, not sure at all of where I'm going. I just know that I hate everything about what just happened. Well...
A lot happened in this episode.
That got intense.
It did. We had our first quarrel.
The sincerity is intense. It's a lot. The conversation. Yeah.
You know, I feel like the dialogue's very good because it seems like a very, like, I mean, obviously the context is, it has a lot of fantasy elements in it in terms of what is actually happening. But the way that they fought was actually very authentic, I think.
Yeah. The first thing I was worried about when we started the series was the fact that it starts out on a spaceship with overt sci-fi elements. I'm like, Steffi doesn't like sci-fi at all. We need to get to the...
Don't tell everyone.
We need to get to the dialogue.
Yeah, so, but I mean, I'm not a huge sci-fi fan, yes, but I do like interpersonal relationships.
Yeah.
So I do like stuff like this. Like, I think it could be very easy just to write a fight between two characters in like a generic way, but but the way that they're arguing their points of view really represents them as a character. Like they're consistently their character, even in situations which people would have a hard time writing.
Which is nuts, yeah. Being able to write separate people and make them feel like separate people consistently is like, that seems incredibly challenging to do.
Like, Amicus definitely does care about us, but he is a little bit blunt, and he also has a hard time seeing things past the immediate.
Yeah.
He has a hard time planning things out. He
always sees like easy solutions in things and then just does them.
He underestimates the amount of stress our situation causes us, because in reality, although this is obviously a very stressful time for him, this situation is completely bonkers for us, like completely. And we kind of relate to Marco more only because we're human beings and we have to kind of put ourselves in his character as we're here.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like his intentions were good. It's kind of hard to be mad at him. But I mean, that was pretty fucked.
I just loved how just fucking like emotionally nuanced that argument was. Like, there's just so much shit going on with both of them in the context, and like, yeah, a lot of other arguments are just a lot more boring, frankly.
I'm mad at you.
Have as much weight to
I'm
them.
mad at you because of this. But like he even misinterpreted why we were even angry to begin with.
Yeah,
like he didn't necessarily see like the exact.
So many people,
the subtleties as to why we were angry. Yeah. There's a lot more to it than he even saw. He's not really great at thinking these things through.
It's it's this really complex interaction of characters not fully understanding each other, but in a way that's human, instead of the way that we're used to seeing in fiction, which is that you have like this multi-million-dollar 90-minute like rom-com where a misunderstanding happens about an hour and 10 minutes in, and there's a sad montage about how they're broken up for a while
because of a super cheap misunderstanding.
Yeah, it's almost always a fight that's like kind of just not true.
Yeah,
and then after a musical
they don't
montage,
explain it right, so the fight goes on longer than it has to, but it could have been solved immediately by someone just saying that's actually not what happened.
They always cut to like a musical montage of the two of them being separate and sad, and then kind of being reminded of each other occasionally, and then they get back together, and then the movie ends, and it's like the same movie over and over again. But like the fight is always, they almost always have to cheat to have the fight instead of actually having something that's like raw.
Well, there's a lot of, they fight
which is weird
for a lot of different reasons.
You think at least hack writers would just rewrite what happened in their life at some point, if nothing else.
Well, they're not paid.
But that makes you wonder if they're like not emotionally like self-aware enough to understand what happened wrong in their own relationships, so they can't channel that into their fiction either.
Well, I hate to say it, but traditionally a lot of rom-coms were written with the demographic of being like straight women, right?
Yeah.
And the people who write them are never women ever. It's usually like some dude who just writes the same story over and over again. It's nice now that we have like more voices writing things in a romantic way, where we have like women writing romances or having like gay folks writing romances, because you get like you get other scenarios besides like the one thing that some like old white dude who's only been in like one relationship thought of once and that keeps rewriting over and over and over again, you know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, the women will love this.
Like in this
it's raining in this scene. They like that.
They like the rain and the sad music. Do they listen to The Cure? Yeah.
I wish romance movies had the cure in it.
Was my music taste too cool for rom-com?
It is.
I don't know the last rom-com I saw was. Shit. Although at this point,
I don't think you really
superhero movies are rom-coms.
I was gonna say, like, there are some that are kind of they can be loosely interpreted as rom-coms, like a Scott Pilgrim or something. That's a very alternative rom-com.
They don't really even have a lowest point, though. She just gets taken away by Gideon.
Yeah, but Scott has to discover himself. It's more about him.
Scott got the sword of self-respect.
Which is more powerful than the sword of love. Yeah.
Well, you can't love someone else until you love yourself.
In these situations, I often think of, like, H. Bomber Guy's analysis of The Room, which is secretly nestled away in his Control-Alt-Delete video. I always forget that, because it's like a different video essay in the middle of another one. But
that's like the most honest romantic comedy, or it's not really comedy. Like, well, it is. It is for the wrong reason.
It's like he interprets it as being this thing where Tommy Wiseau was in a breakup, but just was not. He just did not emotionally understand what actually happened,
it's
or what his
completely
role was.
100% from his perspective of what went wrong, and like how it was all her fault.
He made a movie that is
like,
literally that thing that people always say, where bitch just went crazy.
Yeah,
which is how a lot of high schoolers talk about their relationships.
Dude,
that end.
Anytime you hear that, it's always somebody's missing something, because they're like, oh yeah, that bitch just went crazy one day.
That's always bad news. It always speaks poorly of the person saying it, because you're like, that's not really how people.
No,
work.
dude, she resented you for a long time, and she let you know, and you just were not paying attention. Then one day she blew up because she'd had enough, like that kind of thing. But
anyway, shit's fucked, and neither person can leave this building, so it's gonna have to get resolved somehow, or at least addressed.
Or it's gonna be a very awkward, like,
the fact they literally can't leave makes this really awkward. See you guys next time.
Goodbye.